FM94 The Dark. It is that time again. It's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. And on the phone right now, I'm talking with Dan. He's the guitarist of the band called Fall to June. Also, I believe the lead singer, Ben, in the background. But according to Dan, it sounds like they're resting his voice because they have a concert coming up tonight. Is that correct, Dan?
Absolutely. We got 4 in a row, but we're working on this one tonight.
Hey, we want to get to know more about this band, Fall to June. Now, we've been playing your song, Delta Breakdown, here for the last couple of months here on The Dark. Love the song, getting good rave reviews here from a lot of our listeners, too. What's the history of this band? How did Fall to June all come about?
Well, Fall to June started actually about a decade ago with the singer Ben and our drummer Nate. Had a project going on, and they just wanted to finish it up, and it evolved into an entire album. And there was actually a bit of a hiatus in the middle of all of that. But after that finished up, and they decided to finish the project, it turned out to be this first album. And after that, the original members weren't around for too much longer, so they picked up me and Jason Todd here to play on the guitars, and Jeremy Marshall on bass, and we're here we are.
And of course, obviously, you guys, as you mentioned, a band that was another band, then you kind of formed this guy. All you guys had been in some sort of a band prior to this band. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, a couple of the members are definitely veterans of the scene. Jason Todd, of course, from Shinedown, and Jeremy Marshall from the band Cold. Nate from the band Nerver. Mm-hmm. So we've all got a bit of history. Me and Ben are basically out here just doing our thing.
How has that helped you and Ben with those three guys being in former bands, kind of coming together, and for that matter, maybe even learning the music industry a little bit?
Absolutely. There's definitely a level of comfort that comes from having a few veterans in the band. Little tricks and tips that you probably wouldn't learn as just a bunch of teenagers in a van. But yeah, it definitely helps. It definitely helps a lot. It keeps us out of trouble, I would say, more so.
Probably the question you always get is, how did the name all come about, Fall to June? Is there any history behind that name at all, or is it just a name you pulled out of the dark?
Well, it does have history, but I think Ben has a better explanation for the name, so I'm going to hand it over to him real quick.
Sounds good. We'll do that. And this is Ben.
So you're looking for the name.
Yeah.
The meaning in Fall to June, huh?
Yeah, well, that's probably the famous question you always get, right?
It is. I've heard that one once, maybe twice today. Really, if you think about it, it's the season to the month. Fall happens right when school starts, and the month of June is right about when school ends. So it's kind of an education. It's an education for us in learning our craft and our lives, and it's an education for our fans and learning us and what we're about as musicians and as artists. So it's really just a learning process for everybody, and we hope to learn more every day.
Very cool, very cool. We're talking with Ben and Dan. They're from the band Fall to June. You guys are out of Florida. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, we're based out of Jacksonville Beach.
Okay. What's the rock scene down there in Jacksonville?
What is the rock scene in Jacksonville? Man, it's got a lot of history. I mean, you're going back to Skinnerd and 38 Special and Blackfoot, and then you got the Ray Charles. Yeah, he's from Jacksonville. And then you go on to Limp Bizkit and Shinedown and Cold, and so there's quite a big history in Jacksonville with the music, and we're just kind of trying to further that progression and make our mark on the history.
The reason I asked that question is kind of getting your background out. What did you listen to growing up in that area?
I didn't grow up in that area.
Oh, okay.
But I did listen to a lot of that music. My musical background is quite varied, but I absolutely grew up listening to Skinnerd and Uriah Heep and Cream and Ray Charles and Otis Redding and everything in between. So the Jacksonville history has been kind of inundated in my bones, even though I'm not actually from there. That's just where the band's based now and where we got our roots, you know. I was born in Illinois, raised in Florida and Arkansas.
Okay. There you go. So all over the place then.
Oh yeah.
And you get that.
I'm not even military. I'm just what verse gypsy.
I was just going to say, you're a gypsy. That's just kind of like I was, too. It bounced all over the place, too. It kind of goes with the industry, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I grew up a gypsy, and now I'm a pirate, so it works out.
Hey, we're talking with Ben and Dan. They're from the band Fall to June. Let's talk about the album. It came out, I think, back in April. It's self-titled Fall to June, and the first release off that was Delta Breakdown. What has been the response nationwide of that song so far?
It's been really catchy, more so than I expected it to be, actually. I knew I loved the song, and I knew I loved what it meant and stood for and how it sounded and how it made me feel. I had no idea what everybody else was going to think, so that was kind of just a shot in the dark, if you will, on my end, but the people that know better in the industry and they deal in that stuff, they said, yeah, you got something here, and they were right. There's been a lot of catch to that and a lot of people paying a lot of attention. And it seems to have had some impact. I'm very happy for a first outing that we've gotten the response that we did on that song.
Yeah, I know. I report to Under the Radar through Radio Contraband, and I think it was in the top 40 at least in the last couple of weeks here. Yeah, we've peaked at 36 so far. We're hoping to spike again, but yeah, so far we've peaked at 36 and been up in the media-based chart for 15 weeks, I believe. Yep, and that's awesome.
Breakdown, yeah.
That is awesome. Talk about the history.
I can't be mad about that.
Exactly. Talk about the history a little bit as we talked about the band, but some of the music that I guess you guys are playing. Is it kind of a southern rock kind of feel? Is that kind of? I mean, that's. I haven't listened to the whole album. I've never had the whole album. I've only just had the one song, but to me, it's kind of got that southern rock flavor. I mean, am I pretty much right on that? The way you guys are.
Delta Breakdown has a more southern rock backbone than the rest of the album.
Okay.
But we are a bunch of southern boys that play rock and roll, so it's going to show up.
Okay.
More so, I would say that we're right down the middle, just rock, just good old American rock and roll with some southern flavor thrown in there because we just can't help it. We are those guys. But southern rockers, we're southern boys that rock.
I like that. Hey,
yeah, man.
Talking about that song, of course, Delta Breakdown, what is the story behind that single?
What's that story behind that single to you? I've got my story when I wrote it. I've got my reasons for why I did it, and it could just as easily be called Delta Epiphany.
Okay.
As far as a lyrical standpoint, the music kind of backs it up, but I took care of the lyrics, and from that end, it means a lot to me. But one of the things that I learned from Jason when he came on board is once you put it out there, it ain't yours no more.
Right.
And we put it out there. So I've got my reasons for writing it, my reasons for saying what I did, but I don't want to take away the experience somebody else might have by being too precise with the definition of what is Delta Breakdown. To me, it was an awakening. To me, it was time to do something with my life, and a certain drive and a certain moment and certain occurrences proved that I was ready for that move. But maybe that's not what it means to you. And I want to make sure that it means everything that it's supposed to everybody that's supposed to mean something too. You know what I mean?
And I think, music, though, is up for interpretation of how you hear it. I mean, you have obviously you have a way that you want to present it, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily heard that way by somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what somebody else is going through. I have no idea what everybody else's circumstances are when they listen to those words.
Right.
And if they can take something away from it that was possibly unintentional but still very effectual, then I want them to do that. You know, I want that song to have that ability. I want that song to have the availability to mean what it's supposed to somebody in a time of desperation, perhaps, you know?
We're talking with Ben and Dan. They're from the band Fall to June. How about a couple of questions here about what's in your music collection that might shock me, Ben?
In my music collection that might shock you, I actually like a lot of top 40 stuff.
Okay.
I'm not ashamed to say it. Yeah, I like Amos Lee.
Yeah.
I like Donovan Frankenreiter. I like Gavin DeGraw quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the singer-songwriter vibe with a nice R&B undertone.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but then, the rest of the guys in my band, they got all kinds of other stuff going on.
What does Dan like?
Dan,
What's in his collection?
Dan, here, hit him with some of your favorites here.
Okay, we'll start with number one is Tool.
Tool, all right.
By far. And then it would go on to, like, the Deftones and much heavier Gojira. I like the good, loud stuff, the stuff you don't always understand. I'm okay with that.
That's all right, yeah. Crank it up and go do some yard work, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yard work, or, other various things that you could probably do.
We're talking with Dan now. He's back on the phone. Another question, current rock bands that are going on right now. Obviously, you guys are a new band, up-and-coming band. What are some other bands out there that you're following lately that you're really digging? Maybe that really haven't made the big scene yet, but you're going, man, these guys are about ready to break. Or maybe even some bands that are just currently out there that you like right now in active rock.
Well, I'll tell you, without sounding cheesy, being a newbie on the whole touring situation, I'm actually really digging the guys we're touring with, Shaman's Harvest and Blackstone Cherry. Man,
Okay.
They're kicking butt every night. And I'm actually digging the music. I find myself scurrying off the stage and packing up equipment so I can hurry back and watch their show. And it's the same show for the most part each night, but
Right.
It never gets old.
I've seen...
Definitely these guys are making waves, and I like their sound and really digging it.
Yeah, I've seen Blackstone Cherry a couple times, and boy, they're spot on, aren't they?
Yeah, they'll make you dizzy whether you're listening or watching. It doesn't matter. It's such a great show.
It is. Hey, another question for you, and this is for both you and Ben, and this you might have to do a little thinking here, and you guys are kind of a younger band. Chris, you got some members that have been around for a while, so that might help a little bit, but what artist would you like to cover one of your songs? Now, one of your songs.
Oh, wow. It would be an honor for anybody to do that. But for me, it would depend on what song they would want to cover, Each song has such a different sound to it on the album that
Okay.
There's a variety of different bands. If it were Delta Breakdown...
Yeah, let's use that. Let's use Delta Breakdown. Who would you like to have cover that?
Who would I want?
Anybody. And it can be anybody. It doesn't have to even be in the rock genre.
I'm a sucker for unique and very wild things, and I'd kind of like to see somebody like Testament cover it. I don't know, just something outlandish, crazy. Cannibal Corpse, something really heavy.
That would be very interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be probably pretty loud, too.
Let's get Ben on the phone for a sec.
Let's see what Ben thinks.
Yeah, let's see what he thinks.
Want to cover Delta Breakdown. Beyonce.
Yeah, there you go.
Man, honestly, from a purity standpoint, I think if Blackberry Smoke would do it, they'd knock it out of the park.
All right.
And then, from a shock value standpoint, just any of your harder stuff, like Dan was saying, would be really cool.
You just want to hang out with Beyonce, right?
I think she's super talented.
She is.
I want to hang out with her alter ego, but yeah, I think she's really good.
We're talking with Ben and Dan. They're from the band Fall to June. You mentioned touring. You're out on tour right now. Have you done much touring up here in the upper Midwest? I know you said you're in Illinois. You might have been there, too, at one point, I think I saw on the tour schedule. But have you done anything up in this upper Midwest area much?
Yeah, we did Rockford, Illinois. We did Joliet. We did Racine, Wisconsin. We did Keokuk, Iowa.
Okay.
That's a poppin' town.
I'm sure it is.
I was actually born in Illinois.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I didn't spend a whole lot of time there.
How about Minnesota? You had any plans to come up to Minnesota ever and play?
Actually, we're really looking forward to getting up there. St. Paul, Minneapolis.
Yep.
Minneapolis, St. Paul. I don't know how you guys say up there. The Twin Cities, if you will.
Yep.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of really good positive response out of there, so we're excited. I know I've got some friends that actually live in Florida that are from Minnesota that have helped us make waves up there with all their family. I guess everybody's related.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, man. We're definitely looking forward to putting that on the schedule soon.
Have you heard your song Delta Breakdown on the radio yet?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
What does it mean when you hear your song on the radio?
It means that my 37 years on this earth have done something. It means that it led to that point, and the next one's going to lead to that point. But the first time I heard Delta on the radio, it validated all the blood, sweat, and tears of my journey, as well as, most importantly, I guess, my journey with my boys. You know, this has been a long, crazy road. Me and Nate have been through the ringer together with this thing, and now living it with some of the newer fans that we've got on board is special. And when we all got to sit down and hear it on the radio together, it was quite moving. It was quite validating.
Very cool. We're going to play your song here in just a moment right here on the radio, but I want to get to tell about the fans out there how they can get more information about the band Fall to June. How can they find out more about you?
You can do all that social stuff. We got the Facebook, Instagram. What's that other one? Twitter. Oh yeah, the Twitter. Yeah, the Twitter. We got that one going. It's all Fall to June. On Twitter, we actually have two. We've got Fall to June as well as Fall to June official, or Fall to June music. Excuse me. So yeah, you can do that, and you can go to the whole www.falltojune.com. At the bottom of that, there's a place where you can send messages straight to the band. So we like to be quite accessible.
And obviously I mentioned touring right now you're doing, and obviously I think you're kind of finishing up a leg here. Future touring, do you have some maybe plans down the road here in a couple months to get back out on the road again?
We got some stuff in the works to get out in the next few weeks, actually. We just haven't got anything clarified yet, so I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too soon. But yeah, definitely we plan on being road warriors this year.
Awesome. Hey, Ben, Dan.
Hopefully that'll get us up to Minnesota.
Yeah, we're going to make that happen sometime. There's plenty of clubs around here you can play, so we'll definitely do that sometime. Hey, a lot of fun talking to you guys, and looking forward to hearing some more stuff from your latest CD too, okay?
Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate you taking the time, and look forward to shaking your hand in person.
Absolutely, and don't forget, when you see these guys, make sure you get out, get to a concert, because that's all it's about, isn't it? Getting out and meeting the bands, isn't it, guys?
Oh, we're a live band, baby.
Love it. Once again, that's Ben and Dan. They're from the band Fall to June. Their latest song is Delta Breakdown. You're hearing it right now on FM94's The Dark.